right, guys, we've got a, I don't know what year it is, Toyota Tundra with a crank no start here. There's quite a backstory here. There's a lot to unpack with this truck that makes things very difficult because this introduces a lot of variables. We also have kind of a problem with getting accurate information and communication here. So real briefly, this truck was purchased not too long ago by a legal immigrant who came here from, I believe it was Afghanistan. English is very, very, very distant from their primary language. And from what I've gathered, they brought the truck in for some kind of a knock sensor code or something like that to a place. Actually, I won't name the place, but I do have the report here. It is a place that I have come to find. I always thought they only did exhaust, but I've come to find that they do full service work as well. But it would sound like everything they touch would turn to gold. But so far, the only gold I see is going to this particular shop. So anyway, as part of the knock sensor diagnosis, the knock sensors are under the intake manifold on this truck. They went and replaced one knock sensor. I believe there's two of them on this truck, I don't recall, but they replaced the knock sensor that was in conjunction with the code. It's under the intake manifold, so they do a whole intake job. They put the car back together, the car won't start. So once the car wouldn't start, they let the guy know, but there's that language barrier thing, so it got a little unclear what happened there. I didn't talk to the shop, I just talked to this guy. And he said that they took it to another place. I don't know if it was a dealer or what, where they replaced a camshaft sensor and crankshaft sensor. Still didn't fix the car. They weren't sure what was wrong. After a few days, it seems they towed it back to the original muffler place, or, well, I guess it's full service shop. I don't know. I always thought they just did mufflers, but whatever the case is, it sat there for a few days while they tried to tinker with it and get it going. They believe that something may have happened where the computer went bad. Of course, explaining it to this guy didn't go over so well. He didn't understand what they were trying to say. He called some friends who, one of them happened to know me because I did some work for their car, and they suggested he gives me a call, and that's where we are at. So I suggested that he gets the car over to me, and I will figure this thing out for him. So there's other complications here too, in that in talking with the guy, he says that it also, every day that he would drive it, he had to add water to it. So I asked him specifically, trying to differentiate between coolant or antifreeze and water, and he says he added water to the radiator for quite some time since he owned the truck. Apparently there was a coolant leak. So the problem with that is that this time, it's January in Denver, and as you are well familiar, if you continually add water to a cooling system to keep topping off the system with a leak, eventually you dilute it out enough and you will not have enough freezing protection and the engine can freeze. As a matter of fact, you guys surely remember just a few videos ago, the brake system that caught on fire. The guys that they ignored the wheel bearing apparently so long that it actually caught the wheel well on fire, and we had a big mess to fix with that. So it turns out they actually called me 3 or 4 days after I fixed the truck. They said that, hey, it was working great. They really appreciate what I did. It's fantastic. However, they now have this overheating issue that developed. So I went over there again. At this time, it's like that cold snap that we had. It's like minus 10 degrees here in Denver. And how do you get an overheating problem at minus 10 degrees? Well, it turns out, they never told me, but that truck had a coolant leak that they had been topping off with water regularly. Well, when I got to the truck, every hose, every coolant line, everything was a solid block of ice. The water pump had cracked from the engine block. I'm not sure if there was damage to the block. Radiator was cracked, coolant hoses cracked open because it's water in there. And I don't know, whatever, they can't get out of their own way. And now they got, probably a destroyed truck after they had $1,200 repair for that brake system. So the point of that is I don't know that the same thing didn't happen with this Tundra here, because there was another freeze snap that happened during the time this whole cluster was going on between these shops and everything. So I don't know that the system may not have frozen and caused some kind of serious damage that may be the cause of this no start. I'm not clear on that. Maybe the no start happened before this. I really don't know, but what I think we're going to do first is I can tell you that I reproduced the cranking no start. It sounds pretty normal to me, but I just want to rule out that we don't have some kind of issue where we could have a cracked block or something like that because of the freezing with the water in there. Just rule out some kind of compression thing. I don't think that's going to cause a cranking no start, but the point is, if I find there is some major potential damage that could have occurred from the engine block freezing, how much do we want to invest in going forward with this? That's kind of the strategy. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is we'll show you the cranking no start, of course, but at the same time I want to get some data on a compression test to make sure that we don't have something that we're just going to be wasting our time on. All right, normally this would certainly not be my first step here, but just given the history on this vehicle, there is some reason to suspect we may have something more serious of a problem here. So just being safe and making sure that this guy doesn't spend any more money than what's necessary here. All right, let's see if we can grab a capture here. And this car will not start. Okay, there is clearly not a compression problem on this car here. And there's a lot of noise on that signal for some reason, but I don't really care about that. Let me pause this. Let's analyze this a bit closer. Yeah, there is definitely not a compression problem on this car. So that is good news. Now, that said, I am a little bit worried about the coolant leak and the nature of that. So I just want to really quickly, as a next step, just identify this coolant leak, just to rule out that that's some kind of contributing factor or some kind of concern. All right, hey, how adorable here. Look, little, not a bad idea, a little belt routing diagram right on the engine cover there. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, wow, there is some coolant leaking here. Where is that coming from? That appears to be very minor. There's a little coolant. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, so it looks like we got a little leak right here. All right, not sure if you can see, but right behind that coolant temperature sensor there. Looks like there may be a thermostat housing here or something, but there is a coolant leak external on the vehicle, which is good news, I believe. Combined with finding an external coolant leak and our compression test, I am satisfied there is not a major mechanical issue here that would A, be causing this problem in the first place, and B, that would make it prohibitive to move forward because of potential expense or some kind of catastrophic failure with the engine. So I am definitely going to recommend this guy gets that cooling system flushed and we replace it with coolant at a 50-50 mix to get him his freezing protection. I'll have to try to make sure he understands that. All right, that means we can go ahead and address this no start. All right, it's time for the parts slot machine again. Let's see if we can continue on the parts cannon for this car. Yeah, let's not. Let's figure out what's really going on here. All right, I will come back when this thing loads. Read fault code, not even a pending code. Nothing to go on here. Nothing to go on. All right, so what direction do we want to go here given this? Let's try something real quick here. Got a RPM gauge here, so maybe we can see if we got, oh, that tack doesn't budge. Doesn't budge at all. Okay, so that's not always definitive. Not all cars will do that during a crank for various reasons, but that is giving me some indication we may have a camera crank sense problem. Not sure why those other lights were lighting up there. We got our 4 low flashing here for some reason. All right, yeah, so the thing is here, gosh, I mean, there's so many directions we could go. And the problem is the first one you choose probably isn't going to be the one. And then, of course, in the comments, people are like, oh, see, you guessed wrong. You don't know what you're doing. And I mean, I'm not going to, what would be stupid is like replacing cam and crank sensor based on this with no other evidence, which was actually already done, by the way. I forgot. But it's just, this is kind of frustrating because people don't understand that, yeah, after you watch the video and we figure out what's wrong, everybody's going to say, well, that's what I would have done first because I'm that good. Okay, well, I don't have the ability to jump to the end of this video and see what the problem is. I'm thinking, based on that no tax signal, I kind of want to verify that because not all cars necessarily respond to that. What I think I want to do is verify, but we should have no spark for sure and probably no fuel. So let's head over to the engine and let's start experimenting with that. All right, so let's see. We got a 4-wire connector for the coils. All right, so let's see. We want to find which of these is our signal input. First of all, I guess the best thing to do would be to check our power and grounds here. See if we can figure this out here by looking at the coil next to it. So both of them have this black with a red, so that's a common wire. Second wire is completely different. Wait, third wire is completely different too. Is that right? No, what it is this is going to have some kind of I think it's called an IDF. It's going to be an ignition verification. On GM cars, that's a shared signal on all the coils, or at least the coils on a bank. This probably has a different ignition verification for each coil, is my guess for that. Then we got a black and red, and then we've got the white and blacks. So based on that, I'm going to say that the power is most likely going to be this red and black, and the ground will probably be this white with black. And then one of the two others will be a ignition input. I'm not exactly sure. I think I'm going to check a wire diagram. Might actually be faster to do that. But first of all, let me just check the power and ground. Am at least positive about that much. Okay, I am going to say this is going to be a power right here. Yeah, it is, and we have power. And sorry, that looks like it's out of view of the camera. Let me adjust the camera. All right, there's better view for you there. So now we want to see this ground. That means for sure this is a ground over here. All right. And we do have ground. Okay, so one of these two is going to be an input signal, and I am not exactly sure which. And I also just want to be certain on if this is a PNP or NPN design. I don't think the diagram will show that, but at least I'll know for sure if I don't get a signal that I'm on the right wire. So I think that's the smartest thing to do. Let's go get a wire diagram. All right, let's see here. Got fuel injectors. There's probably not signal to those either, I'm going to guess. And let's see, nothing. Oh, there's knock sensor bank 1, because remember it was in for knock sensor. Oh, there's knock sensor 2, knock sensor bank 1, sensor 2, and knock. Oh, there's 4 knock sensors in this car. That's pretty interesting. I wonder if they replaced all 4 knock sensors. The guy said that they only replaced 1 knock sensor. Actually, the sheet, the technician report says that knock sensor bank 2 was replaced, but it didn't say if it was sensor 1 or sensor 2. Hope you replaced the right sensor. Makes all this worthwhile, right? Maybe we'll do a knock sensor check once we get this engine started. All right, nothing there. Let's see here. Hey, where are ignition coils on this stupid thing? 7 pages of wired. Ignition coils, okay. And let's see. Well, this is a problem because I forgot. I don't know which ignition coil I was on. I'm not sure how it is numbered, so we may have to look that up. Let's see if we can figure it out, though. So I know the black and red was power, and that's in the right position. Well, no, they changed positions on different coils. Let's see, on mine, the white and black was the ground, and that was on the last terminal. And that's not shown on any of these. Maybe I need this other page. What happened to my other ignition coils? Okay, this is a frustrating diagram. There they are on the last page. Okay, so let's see, black and red. Okay, so it doesn't necessitate that these wires are in the correct positions in the connectors, so that doesn't help. So, all right, need to back out of all this. I need to get the firing order. Try firing order here. Firing and cylinder identification on the V8. Let's see, this is a 5.7, I believe. Okay, so I am on number 1. All right, so now let's go back here to our ignition coil. All right, we got 8352, and then page 7, I think, the last page. There it is. Okay, ignition coil number 1 right there. Let's take a look at our diagram. All right, we got IGT and IGF1, and one of these, okay, well, it has to be this one. There's no other possibility because the IGF1 is actually shared with all the other ones here we can see. So I don't know why there's different wire colors. There definitely was different wire colors for the IGF, but the IGT, that is the black and yellow. Okay, now we know where to go. All right, black and yellow, that will be our signal. And let's see, that is probably going to be low voltage input. Let me get a LED test light. All right, I'm not sure of the polarity on this signal, so I may have to try this both ways here. I'm going to assume that there's a positive input into here, so we're going to configure as such. Let's try cranking this. Let's see what happens. And nothing. All right, just to be sure, I'm going to reverse polarity here. Okay, so on the positive polarity, we light up. Let's see if there's any evidence of any control there. All right, does not seem to be. And I wouldn't expect that there is. Okay, I just want to try something real quick because I'm not totally 100% certain on this. Let me get that coil out of there real quick. All right, now I want to line this up. Where's a ground? There's a ground right there. So I'm going to put a ground at the end of the coil. I just want to see if I can put an input signal and spark this coil. That's all. So let me see if I can give you a shot of this, because this should spark. Oh yeah, you definitely heard that. It absolutely sparked. Let's see if we can, just for the camera, give you a visual on that. All right, I believe that showed up on camera there, so we definitely don't have a signal input there. Okay, this is definitely putting me in the direction of cam and crank sensor, except that they were replaced, so may have to go get a reading off of there. All right, change of plan here. I don't want to crawl around under the car and do a crank sensor bypass, which is the right thing to do. What we need to do is crank sensor bypass, see if we can get spark up there from the crank sensor. But what I'm thinking is I should be able to get cam and crank data on the scan tool. And let's see here. Absolute. Yeah, there's no, all right, no cam, no crank. Okay, so all I can go with is engine RPM. All right, let's just try that real quick. Hey, where's my data? And whoa, hey, what happened? Oh man, what the hell just happened there? Go back. Where's my RPM? No, communicate, what? All right, hold on a second. So what the hell? Hold on, let me reset this. All right, well, what the hell? My onboard diagnostics just went offline. What about here? Fuel injection timing. Okay, that's all great. Can't communicate. That went offline too now. What the hell is going on? All right, hang on a second. Let me restart my top on here, and I'll be right back. All right, well, something is definitely wrong here because I am not able to communicate with the vehicle now. And I did earlier when I got the codes. So what the actual hell? Let me see if we can try quick access. It reads the VIN, but somehow the PCM went offline. All right, I do not know what these people did to this vehicle, but this is starting to piss me off a little bit now. All right, let me come back when this loads up, and I need to get this communication here. All right, vehicle identification failure, but it's there. All right, the frickin' frack. All right, well, now we got a whole new thing going on here. All right, let me think about this. All right, well, I have no idea, but I went back to make sure that I plugged everything back in. I didn't really even unplug anything, but for whatever reason, we're back online, so whatever. All right, let's go here, and again, my plan is to get some cam and crank sensor data. You know what? Let me go back. Let me see if we got any kind of fault codes during that time. No fault codes. Are you kidding me? Golly, man. I really have nothing to go on here, guys. I am swimming. All right, let's go engine RPM. I don't know. Let's look for some other things that may also help with some communication thing as well. Let's do like barometric pressure, for example. Oh, what else do we got here? Like IAT. Go back here. And now I'm offline again. Okay, we've got a loose connection somewhere. We need to go look at this PCM. There is probably, I wonder if they had to do some disconnection at the PCM. Okay, let's go over and look at the PCM real quick. All right, PCM pretty conveniently located right here. And it clearly has not been messed with. There's no reason you would have to disconnect the PCM. Wiring goes back behind the intake. So obviously something got messed up here. Let me do a visual inspection. I always start with a visual inspection. Yeah, well, after an intake manifold, your visual inspection is going to be pretty much the entire engine. So now I know, well, this still could be anywhere on this entire engine, actually. All right, so what I want to do is there power to this PCM right now? Right now, I don't even know if PCM is live or not. Let me check scan tool. Okay, yeah, PCM is offline right now. So I wonder, like, what do we have and not have? That might be a good way to start off before I take out this PCM here. So let me grab a DVOM real quick. All right, so let's see what we know. We had power to the coils and certainly power to the fuel injectors, but we didn't have control. But we had power there. Now that power is going to come fused, not from the PCM. So we have power on some things here, but what I want to do is see if we've got things from the PCM and what we don't have from the PCM. So, all right, we're just going to take an assessment of what is and is not working now that this PCM is offline. Let's get that in view. All right. All right, looks like we got 12 volts there. We got 11 millivolts there. And 11 millivolts there. Half a volt there. That's probably mass airflow. 50 millivolts there. I don't know what these wires are, but what I am noticing is we do not have a 5-volt reference right now. That's 5 millivolts, not 5 volts. Okay, let me check a wire diagram again real quick. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go to the PCM and see if there is a 5-volt reference missing from the PCM, or if we have 5-volt reference from, well, the problem is also, could be 5-volt reference is grounded out, in which case we won't see it at the PCM because it'd be grounded out. Let's verify this 100% though. So let's see, GM calls this some kind of like multi-function unit. Nope, actually it's right here. Mass airflow meter. Okay, so which of these is a 5-volt reference, please? All right, well, this brown could definitely be a 5-volt reference here because it is spliced and may share with some things. Let's just verify that. That goes off to engine coolant temperature, and that would be a good one to measure too. Why don't I just do that? Why don't I just go to the engine coolant temperature sensor? All right, engine coolant temperature sensor right there. And that's millivolts. 5 millivolts, not 5 volts. There is no 5-volt reference here. So now my question is, can a grounded 5-volt reference pull the PCM offline? I don't know. But what I think is going to be the easiest thing to do to find out is I'm going to unplug stuff here. Let me start with this. Let me actually start off with this since I'm right here anyway. So let me unplug this. And what my strategy is here, I want to start unplugging things connected to the 5-volt reference one at a time just to see if maybe we've got some kind of a problem with a sensor short or something. Maybe something was damaged. There we go. All right. Okay, does my 5-volt reference come back now? Check a meter real quick here. Okay. And my probe's kind of bad. Let me replace this. All right, like that. Battery's starting to get weak because of all this time messing around. Where'd my connector go? Now I lost my connector. There he is. All right, let's check him there. 5 millivolts. All right, we've got 120 millivolts. Okay, so I'm going to guess that's our 5-volt reference side and that we have some type of obstruction on our 5-volt reference. So let's see. It's not the engine coolant temperature sensor there. That's not our issue. I'm going to go over here, unplug the mass airflow sensor real quick. All right, unplug mass airflow sensor. That didn't make a bit of difference, did it? Not a bit. Let's see, throttle control here. That's going to have a throttle position sensor in it. That would be a 5-volt reference. I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. And whoa, holy cow, it's alive. Oh, we've got a bad throttle position sensor or something. Holy crap, it's alive. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, just right here, unplug throttle position sensor. We may have a short in there. First of all, let me go ahead and see that our scan tool comes back online. Wait a minute, no, better idea. The car should start. Yes, it does. Okay, so is this throttle position sensor bad? That may be the problem. However, I think I see more likely what the issue is right here. Okay, for sure. Looks like when they put this bracket on, they pinched this wire right there. See that? Oh yeah. Okay, get this harness back, and right there you see this bent up bracket there, and the harness was pinched under that, and that looks like, yo, definitely there's bare wire right there. Right there. And is there any other one? Don't know, but here is our issue. This wire here also looks like it's crunched. All right, let me repair this wiring here, and then I need to plug it back in. I do not believe that our throttle control assembly is the fault here. It just happens to be that they pinched this 5-volt reference wire that took the whole system offline. Well, one thing that is fortunate I just thought of is, if you notice, we've got this 12-volt supply that also goes into this harness. And had that 5-volt reference wire touched the 12-volt wire, if that was damaged, which it wasn't because it's a lot stronger, but if we had put that 12-volt to the 5-volt reference wire, that would have fried the computer. So this could have been fairly disastrous. All right, there we go. Think that goes right there. And plug this in. That's a little tricky there. There we go. All right. And looks like that goes in there. See, that's why you want to pay attention to your wire routing there, the little wire clips for the harness. You know, I always pay attention to those because that ensures that I'm wiring as intended to avoid such catastrophes like this. All right, so let's start up this car. This car should run fine now. Actually, before I do that, let's verify that we have 5-volt reference. All right, there we go. And I do not. What? Oh, that's because I turned the car off. Hold on. All right, let's see if that does it. And I still don't have it. What is going on? Nope, just a bad connection. Okay, golly, man. I don't need this kind of stress. I really don't. Okay, 5-volt reference is alive. Let me get this out of here, start this car, and then we will get out of here. All right, I'm happy now. All right, well, that was kind of a crazy one, and a couple of lessons learned for me too there. The first one is to always do your visual inspection, starting off at the throttle control unit. Whatever, but the one question that I do have is, there were no codes shown, but in order for me to get no codes, I had to connect with the PCM. So it seems like there's some level of, because I could connect to my scan tool, and in fact you even saw that I was able to read the VIN number and all that, but then I couldn't connect to get the actual data from the engine data. So apparently losing your 5-volt reference can make you lose some level of communication with the PCM, but not all communication with the PCM, if that makes sense, because that's what we saw there. So that's kind of good to know, because I would have wasted a lot of time if I went right to the PCM. We wouldn't have found anything wrong there. But the ability to communicate a little with the PCM kind of led me in the direction that the PCM maybe isn't faulty too. So kind of an interesting thing there. I'm not sure if all cars are like that. So the only other thing is this guy needs to get that coolant leak fixed. He needs to get the coolant replaced so that he doesn't run into a potential problem of destroying the truck again now. That's going to be up to him to figure that out, because I got other things I got to move on to. This kind of took a little more time than I expected. And also the NOx sensor, he's going to have to drive it around and see that they actually did fix the NOx sensor, which was the whole start of this catastrophe. I'm a little bit worried that on the diagram we saw 4 NOx sensors. They replaced 1. All right, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll be doing a follow-up for a NOx sensor on this car. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you found this one entertaining. We'll see you next time.